Bootcamp, hosted by the South Windsor Chamber of Commerce. Today we have our amazing presenter, Marietta. She's a very recognized photographer here in South Windsor and member of the Chamber. So welcome, Marietta, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. So I didn't even need to go into my introduction because Liliana, you gave me a great one. Wow. I'm feeling so like special. But I will say good afternoon. Today we're going, and thank you everybody for joining. So we're going to discuss the ins and outs of headshots and your biographies, and creating the best ones that you can for your business. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I can answer them along the way, or you can, since there's just a few of us, kind of just feel free to unmute yourselves and just ask away. So I am going to share my screen. Alrighty. Okay, can everybody see that? Everybody see my headshots and bios? No, mine? Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. So I've been a professional photographer for over 28 years. It wasn't until I was about halfway into my career when I decided that I figured out how to deliver the best headshots for my clients. The first 10 years I was in business, all I did were weddings. And then of course, those weddings morphed into other kinds of businesses. So I started doing a lot of headshots because these people that were getting married were professionals and they were, looking for an updated picture of themselves to put either on their business website or for the company that they worked for. So some of the events I photographed were very classy. Others were very businesslike, more professional or business casual. And then there are the ones that were very casual. So in reference to those, the weddings and some of the higher end events were very classy, where I had to dress in like a tuxedo, well, a women's tuxedo, or a black tie event. Others were business casual, where I just, could wear something that was, a nice suit and jacket, or a nice skirt or nice pants and everything. And then when I do my high school seniors, I am flat out just like them, wearing jeans, whatever the hip trend is, so that I fit in with them, even though I'm definitely a lot older than them. So, and the reason why I'm telling you that is because I want you to think about your business. I want you to think about how you're presenting yourself to your clients. So being a photographer, I have to be a jack of all trades. So I kind of have to present myself in different manners. So my headshots have to be a little bit different. It has to portray my personality. And that's what I figured out midway through my career. I figured out that, something I wanted when I was going to do headshots for people, I wanted to make sure that they were actually going to represent their personalities. I wanted to say when a client would come, potential client would come to me, I would then investigate and I would look at their website. I'd look at their social media. I tried to learn as much as I could about their business and about them. And then when I would talk to them, I would be like, okay, so, I kind of looked at your business and I think your headshot that you have on there is just not right. It doesn't fit in with your business. So, I'm going to use an example of a landscaper. You wouldn't expect to pull up a landscaper's website and see a picture of him in a suit and tie. I would think that you would see a landscaper's headshot, or the equivalent of, more environmental. It would include the tools of his trade. He could be outdoors, surrounded by a lot of his work machines and some of the tools that he uses, because that's going to say more about him. It's going to say he's not afraid to get down and dirty in the dirt and make sure that your landscape architecture is the best ever. So most people think it's okay to represent themselves and their business with a shot that shows them backed up against a doorway, whether by cell phone or by camera, or a selfie headshot. All right, so how many of you have that? Don't be shy. I know you're all like, muted, but I know Jill doesn't because I did her headshot. So, but there's no judgment. It happens all the time. And I'm going to call Mike Sanzo out, our president. He has a headshot that was just like that, so I'm hopefully going to be doing a new one for him. And the reasonings behind it is that you got an inquiry, you needed a headshot, and you didn't have time to get a professional one done. So boom, iPhones take great pictures these days. Androids take great pictures these days. So people think that maybe it's just okay to go ahead and do that. And of course, my favorite, you just don't want to be in front of the camera. Trust me, I know. That's my reasoning. That's why I'm always behind the camera. The one thing that you have to understand is that a business can't survive on just a logo. You built your business, or you're the key element in running the business, and you're the reason that people come to your business and they want to see the real person behind it. They want to know who they're dealing with. They want to know who they're going to meet when they finally get that appointment with you. They want to and especially in this day and age, security reasons and all that, because people have been known to be imposters. It's always good to have a headshot that represents you so that they know who they're meeting. A current headshot also makes it easier for a new prospective client meeting you for the first time to feel less nervous because they have seen the real you, and a headshot that radiates your personality. Most of the time you can get away with a new headshot being done every 2 to 3 years. However, there are other circumstances when you would need a new one sooner. So basically, I'm going to go through a few of these. So we have the selfie headshot. So that's me. When I finally got into Clubhouse and I didn't actually have a picture of myself on the new iPhone. So I went outside in my yard, did a selfie. This is what I'm going to talk about now. So ladies, gentlemen, some guys like to change their hair color, but ladies, we do it more often than not. So here's my example. You see me now, I'm blonde. And this one right here is my current headshot. And I have dark hair. So anytime you change your appearance, your headshot needs to change. And that's what I ended up doing last night, finally, because I was embarrassed. And I was like, oh my God, I really got to update my headshot. And so this is what my current headshot is going to be. And I know I'm lucky. I have a bunch of photographers that I'm friends with so that we can just go out and we can do new ones. We can play, we can have fun. But I wanted something that represented me. I think I'm a pretty fun person to be around. I like to make people feel comfortable when they're behind my camera. And it literally was something this headshot depicts. Is it shows the fun and it shows what my trade is. Not all of us have a trade that we can actually show off. I mean, if you're an insurance agent, are you going to be able to pull some insurance policies out and stuff? But that's, we can go into your office and we can actually show your insurance, certificates and et cetera, and show you in your environment. So there's always a way to show what you do, how you do, who you are, in a more positive way. So the other one that I don't have yet is we get lazy. And a lot of the times headshots, we're like, I don't need to update that one. I really like the one I have right now because I look really young. So a lot of people tend to use headshots that are 10 to 15 years old. one of the just happened to me recently. I was referred to a doctor. I didn't know him from a hole in the wall. So I went to the website and I took a look to see who he was. And I looked at his headshot and I was like, okay. When he walked into the office, I was so unprepared because the headshot he had up on his website was about 15 to 20 years old. And I had to really hide my shock, which I tried to do very quickly and very carefully because I almost didn't recognize him. I almost said, oh, I was waiting for Dr. So-and-so. And then I realized it was him. So there's another story that I can tell about a photographer himself who lectured around the world. And I became very good friends with him. And I met up with him in an airport after a conference. And I looked at him and I go, David, I love you more than anything. However, you really need to update your headshot. And I felt kind of funny telling him that, but the headshot he was using was when he was 30 years old and he was now 60. Make sense? So, sometimes people don't put their headshots on social media or their websites. They don't even mention who they are. And I think that's a big detriment because people are going to bypass you if they can't find out who they're going to be working with. We know that better than anything being in the chamber. And I've been researching a lot of photographers' websites lately. And irritation with me is that they don't put a picture of them up there to show people. And it's like, we're photographers, we're visual people. We should have a picture of ourselves up there, even if we hate being behind, in front of the camera. So, if I went to a website, or if I had a choice between two people and one website didn't have any information whatsoever about the owner, about the person that is managing it, I would probably move on to the next one, because now that one had a picture that was appropriate, had a good bio, and told me a little bit about them, and made me feel like I could know them. Does that make sense? Yeah. I know I can't see everybody, so. The other thing is, biographies really are something that I truly believe go hand in hand with the headshots. So biographies, I know we all hate writing them. We all, except for the people like Jill who likes writing. They have to match your headshot. So if you're sitting there and you're, talking about a biography like this picture that I have of me here, and I put it up and my biography underneath it said, Marietta is a professional photographer in South Windsor, Connecticut. She photographs people. She received an award for this, for that, for this, for that. It's not going to match what I need to tell people about me so that they're going to hire me. Your biography is so important that between your headshot and your biography, those are two things that will make people who don't know you hire you. So there's, in my eyes, there are three different types of bios. So you have your short bio, which you would use for social media. It would be something like, to go on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. They only give you a certain amount of space. So therefore it has to be short. So to me, this would be what I would put up on one of my social media. So, hello, my name is Marietta St. Ange. I'm a professional photographer and I love to make people feel comfortable and special when they are being photographed. I was just appointed as the new PPA counselor for Connecticut. It was a very humbling moment when I was awarded the National Award for Photographic Excellence in 2017 and the Lifetime Achievement Award from my state association in 2019. So I've given people my name, what I do, how I do it, a little bit about an accolade that I just received, and then another, I validated myself as a photographer because I showed that I received 2 different awards. They may not know what they are, but it doesn't matter. They're still going to see that those awards exist. So the key in doing a short online bio would be your name, your current role, your ultimate goal, and 1 or 2 of your biggest achievements. And then I tend to not to like to talk about all the things I've done. However, I've learned to word them in a way that it's not me, because sometimes that will tend to turn people off. So if you sat there and said, well, I did this, I did that, I am, going to do this, I'm going to do that. Sometimes you just got to change those words around so that they're, number 1, not repetitive, and number 2, that they don't turn people off from thinking that it's all about you, even though it's supposed to be. It's a biography about you. So remember to always list your accomplishments in a way that will benefit your client. Professional bios are the ones that you would find on LinkedIn, your website, or in a speaker packet for publicity. They should be mid-length, include your name, your current role, professional and/or professional tagline, your company or personal brand, your goals and aspirations, and your 2 to 3 most impressive and relevant achievements, and maybe even a quirky fact about you, but it has to be appropriate to the situation. Also, if you're sending that bio off to someone, maybe because they've asked you to speak, include at the top all the relevant information for them to get in touch with you. Because if you've been asked to speak somewhere because you're an industry expert, they may have asked several other people to speak. And so if you send them your bio and there's no way for them to get in touch with you, they're just going to move on to the next person. It's very similar to when I used to photograph a lot of models and actors. We would create comp cards for them because they would go out to agents and they would send their comp card to them. On there had their pictures, several different pictures to show and depict them in different, ways that they can model or they can act. But at the bottom, always included their name and their phone number and email address right on it, because then that way they're able to, the agent, if he sees them, they've got like 3 seconds. Same thing with somebody that's putting together a huge national conference. They've got like 3 seconds to decide if they want you or not. So they're going to call you up right there and then, or they're going to put you in the pile, and that way their secretary has the right way to find you. So this is what I came up with for my professional bio. If you've ever worked with Marietta St. Ange, you'll know that her middle name is fun. Most times people don't like having their photos taken, but Marietta has a way of putting you at ease and making the photography session so fun that you forget the real reason why you were there. She has been photographing people for over 25 years, but her love affair with creating images began when she was young. She believes that education doesn't stop at any age, which is why she is active in the Connecticut Professional Photographers Association with 2 terms as president under her belt. She currently serves on their board of directors. She recently earned the prestigious CTPPA Lifetime Achievement Award, along with the President's Award twice for service to the professional photography industry. She was also awarded the Professional Photographers Association National Award for meritorious contribution to professional photography. Marietta fully believes in giving back to the community and will donate her time to photograph events and people. She is a lifelong resident of South Windsor, Connecticut, and is thankful that her husband and 3 children have supported her dreams of being a professional photographer. Most times, even though you may have just met, you will be greeted with a hug, pre-COVID-19, and the term, "Hello there, sunshine." So I'm curious to see, I'd like everybody to unmute themselves and let me know, what do you think of that? Liliana?
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you didn't know me, I mean, with that, you know.
You can get an idea. I like that even if you read, you already get some trust. Like, okay, it's not going to feel uncomfortable, because I think when you are going to have, as you say before, if you don't like to be in front of the camera, the most important thing is to feel comfortable. And if you don't feel that opening or that vibe with the photographer, it's going to be harder, in my opinion. So I like it.
Thank you. Eric.
I really liked your new picture. It kind of like
you.
put like a backdrop in the back there, but didn't take away the focus on you and kind of what it's about.
Thanks. That's awesome. And that was basically one of my reasonings behind writing my bio this way, instead of it being so like, you know, just straightforward. I wanted people, because that's my main thing. Like, Jill, are you there?
Yep.
So I did Jill's photos. And she's always given me a great testimonial, because she's just like, I hate having my picture taken. Right. So she, you know, one of the things that I know about myself after being in this industry for 28 years is that I like to make people feel at ease. I don't want them to feel nervous. I want them to be having fun with their session. I don't want them to just think that they have to do this for, you know, just for a reason. So I want them to know that that she's, you know, that you're going to come out looking at those pictures and really enjoying them. So that's why I wrote the bio that way.
So
Now,
Marietta,
yeah, yep.
So a lot of times I'm coaching my customers on how to write their bio, and even for myself, one thing I find myself making a mistake about, I guess, is that sometimes when I'm asked for a bio, it should be more about my business. My business is not my bio. So I do get mixed up with that. And then when I'm coaching my clients, you know, you kind of want to match, like for Eric, who's a detective,
right,
investigator. Like he probably doesn't need to sound like he's fun. I mean, this is where I'm not sure.
Correct.
Do you try to build like a personal connection, even if that's not really your business to be personal? Your business is to be very personal so that people are comfortable.
Correct.
Eric's is different.
Eric's is different because Eric would actually sit there and in his bio, because don't forget, you have two separate things. You've got the about section on your website, which is going to tell you about the business, but then the personal, which is you who own the business, they need to know who you are, what your credentials are, but they also need to know that they're going to relate to you. So Eric would end up creating a bio. I haven't looked at his yet, but he'd end up creating a bio that would instill confidence, so that, because they're coming to him maybe with some very, you know, personal issues, right, Eric?
Yes.
And so they have to know that he's trustworthy, that he's not going to tell everybody their business. So yeah, his isn't going to be fun, but it's going to be a bio that's going to instill the confidence that they need in him. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it needs to be, you need to pull out other things. You know, something that kind of, I don't know, I think it's going to be cliche, but some of these people out there are going to let you know what their favorite craft beer is and their favorite video game. And that's to look hip and young.
Right.
But that, I don't think that's always appropriate either.
No, it's not. And that's basically where you have to look at who your client is. So for you, Jill, if you're talking with them and you're trying to coach them on how to do their bio, you're going to kind of look at them, and one of the things that you can do for yourself to kind of get to know them better, if you don't know them already, you could say, you know what, give me 3 words that you think describe yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And those 3 words are going to give you oodles of information into them. You know, they're literally going to, and then again, same thing for yourself. I do this all the time. I constantly look at myself and I go, okay, what 3 words describe me? And I have a hard time with that because I'm not one of those people that are like, you know, look at me, look at me. I don't want to be, believe it or not, I don't want to be in the foreground. I kind of would rather be in the background, actually, being a photographer. I don't want to stand out. And that's how I was trained. I was trained 10 years doing weddings, which meant I was in the background. You know, if I was in the church, I wasn't to be seen. I was just capturing everything. So I think that if you technically, say like Eric is writing a new bio, if he said to himself, let me think about the 3 words that describe me in relation to my business, but yet let's throw a little personal thing into that. Eric could say, that I do love craft beer, because that it's not something that, it's not like he's saying, hey, I love to go out and party every single night at a club.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
And I have seen, like, with a few of the clients that I work that are younger adults or like in these millennials type, that in their websites and when they put their bios, they throw that type of personal information, like more trendy right now, because they want to make people feel identified with them, like with different stuff, and putting that like not so serious, or putting the things in between official and personal to make it more relaxed. I have seen a lot, and lately in a lot of websites that we are doing, we go through that side more if they are like young professionals, because that is what is out and trend. And I think everything depends on your own personality and what makes you feel identified.
It does. But unfortunately, too, what happens is that, I've been listening. I do a lot of research on people, believe it or not. I got into Clubhouse and I've hopped into a lot of rooms where there are younger and trendier people. And I just don't do professional photography. I do a whole bunch of different topics just to kind of hear what everybody's talking about. I also have a corporate background. I never was just a photographer. I worked at Cigna as a human resource person, wore my suit and heels, and I managed a company for 10 years. So I have that piece of background, but I became a photographer because it's what my true love was. And I love helping people that way. So I think what this generation has started trending towards is the more, not unprofessional, but maybe fun. I don't know, but it's not a bad thing. You just have to learn how to commingle it with your business so that people trust you.
Because sometimes I think they go too much to the other side and put the things. I think when you need to keep that professional side and like some kind of formalisms, and some people just try to go all to the other side, like we are pals that we hang out together every time. So I think it needs to have like a balance.
It does.
You can see that type of things more and more lately.
Right. And it's okay. Like I'm mentoring also another photographer who just graduated at Western Connecticut 2 years ago. So she's truly like, colleges truly teach them all the technical aspects of photography, but she didn't learn anything about the people side, the business side, so we were talking and she was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know any of this. Can you mentor me? And I'm like, sure. Yeah. I'd rather be able to help you get your business up on track, and it's funny because she's being so young, she's looking at the hip trends And what's great about her is that she's learning to commingle them with the older, more professional trends that technically aren't wrong. They're not wrong. Some people, they just don't want to conform to it. But that's okay. It's okay. It depends on how they want to do their business. So, the last kind of bio that I technically always, I know of because my father was a professor is a curriculum vitae. So it's commonly known as a CV. This baby is huge and long. It can absolutely contain, where you're published, what classes you've taken, what classes you teach, or whatever it may be. I have a photographer who speaks. And literally every time I ask her for a short bio, she sends me her CV because she's also a professor. And I'm like, how many times I can't use this because people aren't going to read it. They're not going to read it.
Yeah.
So when it comes to a short bio or a professional bio, you need to keep it mid-length so that people have the opportunity to read through it and get to know you, if that makes sense. Bios need to match your headshots.
Yeah.
Have to match your headshots. I know people don't normally think about it in these terms, but they do go hand in hand. So when, you guys asked me to do this headshot program, I was like, I really need to do the bios with it, because when you have a headshot, say it's a headshot of a corporate attorney, and he needed a headshot for his website, and he put up an image of himself in a tuxedo. Okay. With the bio that listed all the different types of legal things that he takes care of. Does that really represent him? No. Just as well, if you were running a clown entertainment company and you put your headshot, you put your headshot up in a suit and tie. What's that going to tell people when they're going to your website and the bio says, hey, you know what? I'm Happy the Clown, and I love coming to, take care of your children and make balloon animals and all that. And there's a picture of you in a suit and tie. Are you going to hire him for your kids, Eric?
Hey, Matt.
Exactly.
Hello.
Absolutely not. If you owned a limo company.
Hey, Matt, you there?
What was that?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Oh, sorry. If you owned a limo company and, you did a headshot in a tux or more formal suit with the limos, that would be more appropriate than one of you in a polo shirt with golf clubs. So, and I'm not saying that people do this all the time, but there are people that do it because they don't take the time. They think their brand is good enough and their brand is what's going to carry them. But what they don't realize is that most of the time it's always personal. So, you hate to write your bios. Everybody does. So one exercise I like to ask is that some of my most valued clients who know me, I'll ask them what they think about me. And yeah, that's a loaded question. I also get references from my best friend or friends. Those people who have known me personally for many, many years. Most of the time I will have photographed them at some point, so they know they've worked with me. But our relationship is very laid back. Always ask your clients for a testimonial, because that is going to reap leaps and bounds on what they think about you and your business and how you conducted that business with them. If you have just these three things, you will be able to create a basic bio just by those three things. But if you can't, and if you really just hate to write, you have people out there that if you give them these things so they can get to know you, because they may not know you, like Jill, she may not know all her clients personally who come to her, and she's coaching them to do bios. But if you hand them this information, she could write a bio for you. Right, Jill? You there?
Yes, that's correct.
Correct.
A lot of times I have to interview people because they don't know what to tell me. So I have a series of questions to pull things out.
Right. So my recommendation to you would also to have them do some homework and go to their personal, clients that they've dealt with for a while, have them write a little thing about them and how they feel about working with them. Go to their, have them do a couple from their best friends, or personal friends, and then give you some of the client testimonials that they may have, or they, or if they don't, then tell them that they really need to start getting some, because that's going to give you insight from people and not just the person. I know sometimes if you sat down and asked me, I have a hard time talking about myself. So, and then you should always go back and review your bio at least every year or every 6 months. And I left mine up here purposely because I had mentioned earlier in my little short bio that I just got elected to the PPA as a PPA counselor for the state of Connecticut. Professional Photographers of America is our national association, and we have 2 representatives that represent all of their members in the state. And so I was literally just elected like a week ago. So I need to now add that into here because that's my most current thing. I can take off my presidential terms because that's been a while now. I'm still on the board of directors, but I will add in that, I'm going to be a PPA counselor. And people may not know what these things are, but it also stirs up conversation so that when you're talking with them, they may say, oh, by the way, I noticed you had some information in there about PPA, and what is that? And I'm like, it's a national association that I belong to, which means that I have to live by a code of ethics. So, and I know not every profession has, that, but the majority do. There is some kind of an association that is there for you. And, things can change in a minute. So you don't want to embarrass yourself by not being true to your bio, because the worst thing you can do is have your bio up there and it's about 6 years old and people go and then they come and they meet you and they're like, it doesn't ring true anymore. So, just a little example would be Joe loved to meet new people and would sell them life insurance. However, he decided that he wanted to sell auto and homeowners instead. He needed to make sure that his bio changed because he no longer sells life insurance. He could still be with the same agency. He just doesn't handle that platform. So, any questions? Okay. That's all I got for you today. You can unmute yourselves. So hopefully you learned some things, and if I can be of any assistance to you, you can reach out to me. There's my phone number. There's my email address. More than happy to help out in any way. Okay.
Thank you. You did a great job.
Oh, thank you. Hopefully.
Yeah, I learned a
Yes,
lot.
thank you.
Good.
Good. Thanks, Eric, for being here too. I appreciate that. All
I
of you.
apologize for the interruption.
Oh gosh, don't worry about it. I'm cool. See, I'm fun, So anyways, but that's it for today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It was great.
Oh,